boys and girls. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Will Walnuts, the immortal one. Welcome to the Unholy Brotherhood of the Electric Church weekly podcast. And here live with us is the unholy, almighty Apostle Dustin, ready to deliver his sermon for the week. Without further ado, Dustin, give it to him, baby.
For the week. Yeah, for the fucking week. And you know what week it is?
What week?
You know what's this Sunday?
Mother's Day.
Fucking Mother's Day. We love our moms. We all love moms, you know? But just prepare yourself because people can't be happy for other people to have a day, right? So you're going to start seeing all these posts on Mother's Day. People say Happy Mother's Day to their mom. And then there's going to be that fucking reject on there that's like, Happy Mother's Day to all those single dads out there playing both parts. And they do the same shit for Father's Day, dude. It grinds my fucking gears. Like, you can't just let someone have one goddamn day.
Just let them have one day without making a thing out of it, you know, without turning it into a thing.
Yeah, my dad sent me that shit for like the first 3 years I was with my wife. Happy Mother's Day to you too, because it's like, I'm married. Like, she's taking care of the kids. Like, she's the mother. Do I have tits and a vagina? You know, I guess in this day and age, I could be a mom if I wanted to be, but you know, that's not that. It's Happy Mother's Day to all the fathers out there playing both roles. Like, get the fuck out of here. Get over yourself. Is it wrong of me to get pissed off about it? It irritates the shit out of me.
No, I mean, so far from seeing the things that irritate you and get on your nerves, I can't imagine why Mother's Day would be any different.
It's just, and then they start with all these different days. Like, you got Mother's Day, and then you got Grandparents' Day, Grandfather's Day, Son's Day, Daughter's Day. You know what? Sons and Daughters' Day, that's your fucking birthday. That's your thank you. That's your little pat on the back you get for being fucking born. Happy International Sons Day. I don't say that shit. I don't like, I'm going to post a picture of my girls today. Happy International Daughters Day. Hashtag Daughter Day. Hashtag Sons Day. Hashtag Boy Mom. Like, hashtag all that shit. Hashtag fuck yourself.
I actually didn't know that there was a National Son or Daughters Day.
Dude, there's a National Fuck a Donut Day, I'm sure.
I bet the police love that one.
They probably do, you know. And speaking of pig, you know, what about National Hot Dog Day? I'm sure that's out there.
That is real, because we had a National Hot Dog, like, it was on a calendar at work, National Hot Dog Day. We had to celebrate it.
But at least you work at a fucking grocery store and it's understandable. They probably have a fucking hot dog eating contest in Antarctica or something.
I can neither confirm nor deny where I work.
Well, regardless of that, National Hot Dog Day can go fuck itself too.
Oh.
I wonder if they're like, how many national days are we going to have?
There's already a lot.
And how many can you really keep track of?
I can't keep track of the ones that are important.
It's hard enough for me to remember fucking birthdays, dude. Literally, it's hard enough for me to remember the day that someone's born. It's hard enough for me to remember that I had an appointment yesterday or whatever. How the fuck am I going to remember International or National Daughters Day? Get the fuck out of here. So I got that going, you know. That's kind of been, I'm excited because I have a wife who's a mother, you know, so I get to do that. But, you know, it's just looking forward to the dumb shit that you have to look at on social media. Just kind of bums me out a little bit. You know, and then people saying like Happy Mother's Day to people that aren't their moms or like a mother figure to them. Like, oh, you have a sister, so you text your sister Happy Mother's Day. Well, she's not your mom. Like, that's for her kids to tell her Happy Mother's Day, right?
You know what? I'm not even going to go along with this because I got a feeling you're going to piss a lot of people off with what you just said.
What about those psychos though that are out there that have like, they're like dog moms, hashtag dog mom. You know,
yeah.
And
That's
people were
very
probably
popular.
telling them fucking Happy Mother's Day for being a dog mom too. When does it fucking end? Like, you got some fucking succulents. Happy Plant Mom Day. And those fuckers probably get it 2 times in a row. They get Happy Earth Day and they get fucking Happy Mother's Day for being a fucking plant mom.
Arbor Day.
Yeah, Arbor Day, they get it all. Earth Day, Arbor Day, fucking probably Recyclables Day, where they got fucking cans and plastic bottles sitting underneath their fucking sink just making a mess. Fuck your recyclables.
Did you ever go to school and they had, you know how like the recycling thing is like the directional sign that comes into like a triangle, and it's supposed to mean, or at least we learned back then, it was going to be uh, recycle something and reuse. And I was just picturing like, you know, all these little kids, like something's dirty as shit, they just pull it out of the trash can, they're like, the teacher says reuse, and then they just put like you know, something they're supposed to eat on it, and it's got dog food on it and shit, and they're like, I'm helping the environment.
It's like someone finds a water bottle and they're like, oh, I'm thirsty, I'm reusing this water bottle, and it's something like a trucker pissed in it and threw it out the window.
Exactly, dude. It's when you start to think about it, you're like, oh man, maybe we shouldn't be teaching them about reusing.
Well, today, you know, we've got to nerf the world for everybody. So, you know, it's just one of those things. You got to tell them not to eat Tide Pods and shit. So, I think using a dirty paper plate is the last of our worries if kids are out there eating fucking laundry detergent pods.
True.
So, yeah. And then, you know, so on top of this, I've got fucking Cody the Panda sent me another fucking message, dude. I just got it today, around noon, 11 or noon, sometime in that I got it. And apparently this sorry fucker has made a group. Maybe it's non-profit. I doubt the motherfucker knows how to form a 501c or whatever they are. But yeah, I guess he's got a non-profit or non-profit to attack me now, called Pandas Against Dustin, or PAD for short. And for you that are listening, if the audio's a little off, I didn't just say a derogatory term. I said PAD, PAD, Pandas Against Dustin. So, I mean, this dude is going to great lengths to attack me and come at me, and he's trying to form a committee and a foundation to come after me. Like, does he really like, he said that you need to be against me because I'm against, or I'm for the destruction of all pandas. I'm not for their destruction. They're doing plenty fine on their own. Like, I don't need to help the dumb fuckers on their path to extinction. They're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, they don't need your help.
No, so I don't, and my main thing is I don't think that we need to dump all our funds in that. You know, we need to look at maybe renewable sources of energy, maybe that satellite in the sky that beams the energy down, like you were talking about last week. Maybe that's an investment. Getting off the fucking planet, maybe that's an investment. Because, you know, whether we destroy it or not, who knows what's going to happen. But eventually there's going to be a big old rock flying through the fucking space out there, the whole universe and the galaxy, and it's going to smash right into us, and we're going to be like the fucking dinosaurs, and the cockroaches are going to take over. It's going to be like Men in Black in this bitch.
It could so happen again too. You know, I bet when that first asteroid hit, man, they never saw it coming. I bet the same thing could happen again.
And even if they did, like, we've had this conversation before in the past, like, do you think we'd fucking know about it? They wouldn't want to. They wouldn't want to like stir up an uproar. They would want to keep people as calm as possible while they scurried away to their bunkers. The Rockefellers, the Bilderbergs, they would all escape. All the people in the Trilateral Commission, high-level government officials, high level, like high, super high level. Not talking, you know, the director of the CIA. He's fucked too. But these super high level and super rich, ultra wealthy people that run the world and have been running the world for thousands of years, they're going to be the ones like, we're not going to know about it. They're going to be playing us fucking Looney Tunes and Barney and shit.
It's gonna be all those people that Alex Jones filmed at Bilderberg when he did that one like full-length film that he did. He saw the Queen of the Netherlands, you know, the head of PepsiCo, It's gonna be all of those people, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not me and you for
No.
sure. So, just I don't know, man. Just kind of a bummer. Got Pad coming after me. Got to deal with Mother's Day on top of that. Just
Can you play the video or not?
I don't think I can right now. No.
Oh, okay. We'll have to put it up on Facebook after this.
Yeah, stay tuned. I'll get the video, and maybe I'll take a break in this segment right now where we're talking about the video, and I'll throw it in there, and just so you guys can see it, and I'll clip it too, and share that separately. But yeah, it's disturbing to know that someone doesn't like me enough. Of all the things that I've said, the fucking pandas win.
And I knew that was going to happen. I told you that when you started going on that rant. I said, dude, people like pandas, man. You got to be careful what you say about pandas, because you remember when they were at the DC Zoo, how big of a deal that was? And then the one Sing Sing or whatever her name was, it had babies, and there was a 24-hour surveillance camera on the baby at all times, so you could watch a live feed from your computer. Remember that?
Yeah, that's what I was like getting at with it though, because what brought that up for me was the eagle cam whenever the eagle was being born, and that woman
Yeah,
at my job that was watching the fucking eagle cam.
that's
Like,
right. I forgot.
you're sitting in front of a computer for like 10 hours a day watching the eagle cam. How interesting is it to watch a goddamn egg crack? And they do the same shit with like pandas. And if we could, well, we probably have some in captivity, but like a snow leopard, which I get it. They're interesting creatures. Well, there's not much interesting about a fucking panda, if you ask me. Yeah, they're fat. They walk around and eat bamboo. But I mean, at least the snow leopard's like a majestic fucking creature, you know?
Please don't let your puppy eat my face off.
I will. Speaking, and see, my dog he's for pest control. Last week, killed a fucking groundhog. And I was, I finally put two and two together. I was out mowing the grass the other day. And last week, before he killed the it's an overgrown
A
hamster.
hamster.
Before he killed the goddamn rodent, the groundhog, last week when I was mowing, I stepped in a hole, and I was like, I didn't think anything of it.
Goddamn rodent.
So then I'm out mowing the other day, and I seen the hole, and I was like, that fucking dog deserves a goddamn treat. So I came in and gave him some begging strips. I was like, that's a good boy. My daughter is like fucking tormented by it because she's seen it all. He was like dripping blood out of his mouth.
Oh my God.
Like he grabbed that fucking groundhog and shook until it was dead and just dropped it. He didn't have any interest in eating it or anything. He just killed it and moved on. What a savage animal, dude. He's fucking great.
He's a savage. That's savage.
He took care of my fucking rodent problem, and I applaud him for that. If I had the little OBS set up already, I'd give you some, but I don't have that yet. We'll get that here in the next couple episodes.
Your congratulations to your dog for killing an overgrown hamster.
Yep. So unholy saint of the week goes to Rocky the dog. The Jindo Akita mix, and bring your fucking pandas because they'll kill them motherfuckers too.
Bring them.
Akitas are Japanese dogs. Jindos are Korean. They're built for killing pandas and shit.
Yeah, buddy. Bring your panda around here, Cody. Bring him around. Did you see that guy that said something about, like, he was actually talking about getting the SPCA? Like, he thought there was a real panda on the loose in that one comment.
Oh my God. Yeah, he said the police won't help. The police aren't going to help you.
You got to call the SPCA or something.
Yeah, he said it's in the SPCA's domain or some shit.
Wow.
Well, they come in all shapes and sizes, and that goes for brains as well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, still, have you had any luck getting Cody the Panda on the show, or still waiting on his return?
Maybe. I'm kind of afraid to bring him on, honestly, the way he's been acting, but I think he could come on. All
right. Well, speaking of guests, I'm gonna send an invite link to a gentleman who runs the show Not Woke, or the social media sites and the website for Not Woke shows. I just sent him the link, so we're gonna give him a couple minutes to get on and get set up. So he should be joining us here shortly.
Want to start some Want to start a news article while we're waiting?
Yeah, I mean, if you want, or we can just kind of kick it and, talk about Cody the Panda some more, because that's really got me fucking shaking.
Got shook up, doesn't it?
Well, it's not so much him. It's more of, the fact that we have Cody the Panda he's creating a fucking, like, it's almost like a pack, like a political action committee to take on Dustin. Like pandas against us. What kind of bullshit is that, Cody the Panda? So come on the show, Cody. We'll hash it out and I'll get my dog to eat your face. So it looks like we got Kelly with us.
Hey guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Real good. How are you?
Good, thanks. And this is Will. You've spoken more directly with me, but
Yep.
This is my partner Will here. I know you've seen us on the show.
Yep.
Sir, what's going on, man?
I'm real good. How are you guys?
Not too bad.
Another week. Just got done bitching about Mother's Day because and I know by your show there's not gonna be much that I say whether you agree with it or disagree with it. Not woke shows, but it's not, they take away from Mother's Day. So what they do is happy Mother's Day to all the single dads out there, being the mother and the father. And it's like, just let the moms have the win, It seems like every holiday we have, it's happy Father's Day to all the single moms out there and this and that. It's just, I don't know. I think that people should, and then we got into this whole spiel about there's a million different days anyway. Hot dog day, donut day. When does it end? When does the silliness end?
What do you think of it, Kelly?
Well, I'd like to have, of course, everyone having their own day, but I mean, I wanted to make sure that we got to have some things that need to be sacred too. I think we obviously approach the silliness of a lot of the super crazy days, and I'm of the opinion everyone needs to kind of just let themselves do their own thing, and at the same time, if you're going to make me observe it and be a participant of it, and you're going to be putting it out on every major corporation. So if I be a customer of these companies, it almost is as if I'm supporting it, then you can appreciate the fact that I might be inclined to let your company go if I don't necessarily agree. And we're starting to see that a lot with Bud Light and some other companies now, where people are starting to react when a lot of these woke companies are projecting their politics, and people are starting to abandon them. So I have your day, keep it to yourself. Don't require me to be a participant or risk me abandoning you.
Yeah,
Amen.
I agree with that. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the Bud Light thing, and I've talked about it on the show a couple times. I think both sides of it are silly. Like, I don't feel that a company needs to force their agenda on anyone. But at the same time, like, you bought the Bud Light and you go out, like, people are going out just for the sake of destroying it. You're still giving them your money. So it's just a little silly to me. Like, I like Bud Light personally. And I make and maybe it's not 100, because you do, like, with that community of people, you start crossing into some religious and things like that. Whereas sports teams and things of that nature, like, I'm an avid Ravens fan, so it kind of pisses, like, I don't like it whenever they put the Steelers on the can, but I still buy the can with the Steelers on it and drink it just the same. So I mean, if I like the product, I don't know. I guess I look past the participation, but all these companies, all the major corporations. And I've said this before too, they donate to both sides of the aisle, all the ideologies. It's just because whoever wins and whoever the majority is, they want to have the backing, and it's all about lobbyists. So,
but it didn't used to be that way. I mean, the companies used to kind of keep their politics out of the general conversation. And I think that they hoped that they could kind of change the narrative and normalize a lot of different ways of thinking that that they thought was kind of more mainstream. And I think that's probably a byproduct of the bubble everyone probably allows themselves to be in. When you only listen to certain news, you think that everyone is probably like-minded, and there's a whole, obviously, world of people with opposing viewpoints, and I would argue it's probably the majority that runs counter to a lot of these woke corporations. And in doing that, it's ultimately just bad business. And if they're going to be following that track, then don't be surprised if people start abandoning it. I mean, I'm all for every company doing their own thing, but I mean, don't make it seem like you're surprised when some companies are disinclined to purchase your product. So I don't know. I kind of the opinion I start keeping a list of companies I don't support. Bud Light might be one of them. I was never really a beer drinker before, but if I don't shop at Target, I don't drink Starbucks. I'm not going to be drinking Bud Light. If I ever drank Bud Light or any beer, I'm not really a beer drinker. And there's a handful of companies I mean I can do without, and it's just because they projected their opinions on this, and they said I'm not wanted, and so I'll return the favor. You know.
Yeah, and see, the silliest part to me is not so much that like they have to put their opinion and their views out there, but they're pandering to like under 1% of the population. A lot of times it's like, what population is that community really in the grand scheme of things? So it's just it's back to what your show or what your website is, not woke. Like it's
Sure.
this whole fucking woke agenda. It's silly. It's like you have to, it's virtue signaling. That's what it is.
So true. Here's a great example of that. Target, they had established a policy that was they thought would be helping their customers, because they wanted to normalize the idea of allowing transgender people to go in whatever bathroom that they choose. And transgender people occupy, at least when they started that policy, occupied 0.03% of the population. Now, we'd be kidding ourselves if we didn't think that they were probably not otherwise going in those bathrooms of their choosing beforehand. The only difference now is most of these most people in society are normalized that idea that you don't even have to look opposite the gender of what you were born with. And so now what that ultimately does is it normalizes the people who would just want to go in the opposite bathroom to be able to go and be a peeping Tom and look at my wife or child and do it with impunity. And they gotta consider the fact that by normalizing that, you're putting at risk over 51% of the population to placate that 0.03%. Like you said, it's just pandering to a woke mob to virtue signal, and it does a disservice not just to just normalization of what is true, but also to like real genuine safety concerns for someone who needs to have the privacy in their own bathrooms. And so that's another reason why I don't shop at Target or any of these types of businesses who try to normalize that type of thing. It's also why I created Not Woke Shows, as just general entertainment. I couldn't even watch a movie or a TV show or a podcast or a comedy club showing without getting that type of virtue signaling. So I said, you know what, I'm creating a database. And a lot of like-minded people thought this is actually pretty incredible, and it took off like crazy out of nowhere. And I have a lot of supporters that are just contributing a little bit of help on reviews and content generation. And it's pretty amazing how it's taken off and the support that it's resulted from it. But it's that whole ideology that we're trying to overcome.
That's
Hell yeah.
awesome. Yeah, it's awesome, man. So yeah, that took away one of my questions. So yeah, I was going to ask you, why you started it, but I think, we kind of like opened it, just kind of, even just your introduction kind of led us into that segue. So what about some news? You want to join us in our news segment? And
Oh, absolutely.
Have your input as well as mine and Will's. He finds some off the wall, crazy news stories. We love them. AI news, robot. If you listen, like you said, or like I said, you listen to the show, you've heard some of our news stories. So some psychedelics sprinkled in there, all kinds of crazy stuff.
I got opinions on everything and then some. So yeah, shoot.
That makes
it happen.
All right. Well, since we were on the Bud Light subject, I got a good article about Bud Light. It's probably pretty obvious at this point, but Dustin, if you want to look this up, this is from Outkick.com. And the title of this one, April beer numbers are in, and it's a Bud Light bloodbath. The verdict is in, and the numbers aren't pretty for Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch. Turns out, go woke go broke is actually more than just a conservative talking point. The April beer numbers are out, and it's green pastures across the board for everybody except Bud Light and just about every single Anheuser-Busch product.
I was reading about how it's affecting all of their other brands, and I was actually pretty surprised at how it's affected not just Bud Light, because that's really where it's in the news, but it's actually affecting all their other brands. And if this continues, I mean, Bud Light's a large company, and they're gonna be okay. But it's in the end, if this continues, they're gonna have to do a whole massive rebranding of everything, just to really to see those losses.
Yeah, and it's pretty serious because they're saying that they were down a staggering 21.4% over last year's sales. So that's a pretty big chunk out of their revenue.
Yeah.
That's a huge piece. I mean, you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar corporation, 21.4% out of, and I mean, Bud Light leads the way for Anheuser-Busch. You know, I believe that's their best seller, and you're going to do something to ostracize your base. And, you know, like I said, I don't have any concerns either way about it. I'm still, I mean, I drank Natural Light last weekend, but that's just because I was on a cheap kick. You know, I didn't want to spend $20 for that beer, so I'd spent 15 for, you know, a little cheaper of a beer that tastes the same. But I mean, you know, did you not think it was going to happen? And you seen the backpedaling, like,
Yeah.
oh, it was a low level marketer. It was, you know, the executives had no say in it, and they're like making it out to be like, whoops, but it wasn't a whoops. Once they started getting the backlash, it was a whoops. But you know,
they're trying to throw anybody they can under the bus. No one is trying to take accountability for that.
And now they're pissing off the 1% or under that they would have gained, because they're pretty much cutting ties with that Dylan Mulvaney. Like, they don't even want to talk to her, or, you know, so like you're just pissing everybody off at this point, because everybody can see that it's fake. And, you know, the biggest thing to me is, how about this? Like, so at Twitter, we had that high level executive that was a woke company before Elon. Still kind of, you know, Elon's not a saint by any stretch, but he's a little more libertarian. And then you find out that Bud Light had a high level executive who was like FBI, CIA, or something like of that ilk. So, you know, who sets the agenda? The company or the government infiltrators that have infiltrated? Are we a capitalist country, or are we communist, where the state just infiltrates the corporations and runs them from the perspective of the government?
So here's something that I thought was interesting. And when they were talking about it's just one low level executive, I'm inclined to maybe even think that, because there's on some level, because are you guys familiar with Gavin McInnes from Censored TV? You ever watch that show?
Yeah, he started Vice.
Yeah, of course. I watch his show semi-regularly, and he for a little while, I don't think more recently, he had Bud Light he didn't make it obvious, but it was out. It seemed apparent that he was a brand sponsor. That was a brand sponsor, and he would put it out there and that sort of thing. And obviously, Dylan Mulvaney and Gavin McInnes couldn't be on more opposite ends of the spectrum from an ideological standpoint. So I think that they probably have a whole group of people that are sitting out there saying, okay, we need to kind of cater to this demographic and this one and this one and this one. And it's probably not on the radar of everyone. They're just saying, let's cater to every demographic and get everyone in on our beer. Now, at one point, they're probably going to think, okay, there's something wrong with this demographic over here. It's causing us to lose. And at some point, it was in the news. And I would think that if you get that much negative publicity, you'd pull back and say, let's regroup and let's take another look at this. But they didn't even do that. Their CEO made the most response for I wouldn't call it an apology or a retraction or anything sort of thing. He tried to backpedal on the whole thing, but he never really quite said it was a mistake.
Yeah.
Obviously it was, but he needed to say we do these things. We try to attract everybody, But I mean, obviously, this was a mistake. This is not who we are, and it offended a lot of people. We're gonna just move forward and just cut ties and move from there. If they had just said something like that, I think it would have people would have said, that sounds like a reasonable answer. But they give a non-response, and I think that they need to do that, and it made their situation worse.
And I mean, like, back to like the days, Mother's Day, whatever. But then you have like whole months. Like, so if they were going to do this, why didn't they do it during an appropriate time where they could have done like a targeted release for like, say during Pride Month, because most people would have been, I'm not saying everybody, but the more moderate of people and like more of the libertarians, not like the hard left and the hard right, but like more of the people that are just common sense Americans probably would have been like, okay, whatever, it's a Pride Month thing that they're doing, because then it would have made more sense. But it's like, no, this is who we are and this is who we're going with. And, here's this rainbow on your beer can. And it's like, well, I don't want to feel like a goddamn leprechaun. I self-identify as an apostle for the Unholy Brotherhood of the Electric Church. So.
All right, you want to get into some drug news?
I love drug news.
All right, Kelly, in the past few episodes, it seems like we've come across one or three or more articles that have something to do with drugs, and this one's a doozy too. This one is from Reuters, and the title, Captagon, the drug fueling the golf party scene and serious finances. So I read a little bit about this, and apparently there's another new drug on the market now, and we'll go into a little more detail. From bloody front lines to buzzing construction sites and even high-end parties, the amphetamine commonly known as Captagon has enriched itself in the Middle East. Curbing the Captagon trade has become a key demand by Arab states seeking to restore ties with Syria's President Bashar al-Assad, whose government is accused of benefiting from the trade. We'll go a little bit further here. Captagon was the brand name of the stimulant first produced in Germany in the 1960s to help treat attention deficit disorders, narcolepsy, and other conditions. It was discontinued, but elixir versions of the drug continued to be produced in Eastern Europe and later in the Arab regions, becoming prominent in the conflict that erupted in Syria following the anti-government protests in 2011. So it looks like it's an amphetamine that's been around for a while, at least since the 1960s when it was produced in Germany. But it's a stimulant. Dustin, you used to be big into stimulants. What was your what are your thoughts on this?
I still take stimulants. I take stimulants every day. I take Ritalin. So I mean, the dude, first and foremost, it's goddamn Germans, dude. They fucking love methamphetamines, amphetamines. They love anything that'll get you hyped up. It's like Hitler almost ruled the whole world. We're on to something with some speed, so let's just keep creating it, and look at them now. They didn't even need a military to take over Europe this time. They just did it with the European Union, because they're the strongest country in that entire block of countries. And they might not have the military. They just dominated in financial ways rather than trying to have the Fourth Reich. So I don't know. It's saying it's the crystal meth for the modern Syrian soldier, and some of these other, that's from Inverse.
Yeah, I saw that.
I just wanted to see like its chemical structure and see if it's anything like Ritalin or if it's stronger. Because I mean, if it was discontinued, it probably had some either addiction, because even Ritalin and Adderall, it has addictive properties. But as you like to say, I had some stimulant issues in my younger days. I wouldn't say that I was ever addicted to any of them. I just preferred them. That was my method of choice. I like something that amps me up, not slows me down. So there's probably some addictive issues with it. Whereas like Ritalin, I feel off if I don't have it. Like if the pharmacy can't fill my prescription, because that's controlled by the FDA and the DEA. I can only get 30 pills for a month, whether that month lasts 31 days. And with the supply chain issues from COVID, we're still having issues. Like it took me one time 2 weeks, and this is like a month or two ago, to get my extended release version. So, I mean, I like the first couple days, I feel a little zonked out. I feel tired. I can't focus. I get fidgety and I start making stupid, impulsive decisions, and I want to go run around and do a million things at once. But I wonder what the side effects are and if it's
Well,
really helping the Syrians, because they've been fighting that war now for over 10 years. And
well, did you read a little bit more into it? Because it's everywhere. Like all kinds of people over there are taking it, all kinds of different walks of life. I mean, in the beginning, it even said it, like construction workers, business people, stuff like that. So it's pretty popular around there, apparently.
well, if
So is
it's
this a recreational drug or is this a prescription drug to address for medicinal use?
Well, from what I understand, it was at one time a prescription drug, but now it's becoming more of a recreational thing.
Okay. And is this
So-
kind of taking the whole country by storm because people get the benefits out of the, I guess, whatever fund to be had?
Yeah, and they're able to stay kind of amped up off of it for a while. So that's why it's good for the construction workers, the people that have to be, going for a long time.
Sure.
Well, it's kind of like and that's part of the issue with me for like the supply chain issues is like people, especially during the pandemic, they were pretty willy-nilly with writing prescriptions, especially for stimulants, people working from home and everything. And you see it in colleges, off-label use of Adderall to, when it's crunch time for finals or whatever, kids use that off-label or non-prescribed. There's a black market for Ritalin, Adderall. I think there's not Valsartan. That's a freaking that's a blood pressure or something like that. That's what I take. But
God,
dude,
I
they
hope
got
they're
me.
not taking that.
Yeah, they got me amped up, and then they got to put me on blood pressure medication. But I mean, that's professionals even use that. I mean, if crack were more legal, like, or if cocaine were available in a prescription form, you'd see people taking that.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's just not as refined. I mean, that's the whole thing with, look at the difference between psilocybin and the strength. And if you get like really good LSD, or if we could get like lab LSD, it would be, or just take like lab LSD compared to like someone that made it in their mom's basement. The two drugs, or even like down like MDMA, so someone making it versus a laboratory making it, it's going to be totally different. And the response to the drug is going to be totally different. So where Ritalin and Adderall allow more of a focused energy, like meth, crystal meth, or cocaine or other stimulants like that don't allow for that same part of your, like maybe it's your frontal cortex or something that reacts to those drugs differently compared to the chemical structure of, say, Ritalin or Adderall. Because if you look at their chemical structure, very similar to crystal meth, to cocaine, they all have a very similar setup.
It was like we were saying a couple episodes ago. It might have been last episode, but the drug craze, it's only going to get worse. I mean, because now you got people that have access. Like before, you weren't able to purchase a pill press online. Now you can get a pill press. You do enough digging, you can get it. Then at that point, all you need is the components to put together whatever cocktail you want to use. I mean, think about it. 10 years from now, imagine what's going to be on the market. The pink Coke, remember that a few episodes ago? Yeah. That's pretty wild. And the European party scene, they're way beyond ours. Those guys are hardcore over there.
That's where I said, like, the Europeans seem more controlled when it comes down to like the actual use. And like when I said, by the time it gets to the US market, it's going to be so stepped on, it's not going to be the same, because they're a little more liberal. And that's where, like, I'm more of a libertarian. I think drugs should be legal because we would clean it up and we'd be able to fight. We would cut the profits off from the Mexican cartels. It would be one of the simplest ways to end the war on drugs and give people, we're going to have addicts regardless, give people a clean, safe place to do it. Right. That's just my opinion. And yeah, there are going to be people that overdose, and those people were going to overdose whether it was legal or not. And it's not the government's job to inform your children and make your children make, good, responsible choices. That's your job as a parent. It's not anybody's fault but mine. And maybe it's not even my fault. I'm doing the best I can to raise my kids, but maybe they go out and they get addicted to drugs. It's Russian roulette. You never know.
Right.
So.
All right, I got another one, man. We went an article we did within the first or second episode. Everybody remembers that watched the show about tipping the robot. The lady got charged 10% gratuity on her bill, and she wasn't even served by a real person. She was served by a robot. So this one's going to really fire you up, Dustin. This is from businessinsider.com. All right. Customers are being asked to tip even at self-checkout. Some say it's emotional blackmail.
Where's the article from again?
Businessinsider.com. So let me keep going. Tip prompts are becoming more common at digital self-checkout kiosks, but customers are unsure where their money is going or whether the prompt is even necessary. The issue highlights a bigger phenomenon, tipping fatigue. I think we talked about this before, how people are just getting tired of tipping and tipping for asinine reasons, tipping a robot, all that other shit.
Tipping a robot's asinine for sure.
Right.
I saw on your guys' Facebook page, and this is how my mind works. And I saw a button, I guess you guys had on your Facebook page about something tipping the don't tip the robot. In my head, and probably this is a byproduct of living in like a country town many years ago where they would tip cows because that's what they did for fun. I'm thinking you're pushing the robot, tipping it over. And because I didn't understand the context of the story. But I think it's funny that they do that, but isn't it general practice that that when they tip, that let's say in a restaurant, that it oftentimes doesn't necessarily go exclusively just to the waiter or waitress, but to the to all the people all the way around, because so they can make a living wage. And if the food's good and I get good service from the waiter or waitress, usually the waiter or waitress, I would assume, probably gets the majority of it, because I don't think they get paid a full standard minimum wage. But if everyone does well and does their job right, then I'm not averse to that, and reward good behavior for people who make my meal well. And so if the robot's doing that, I guess I could do that with the understanding that it's going all the way around. But if a robot's serving me, if a robot's preparing my food, and the robot is checking up on my drinks and everything like that, I mean, then I wouldn't tip the robot. Why would we?
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
the robot's job. It's not a person. It's not like it's got to go home and take care of little Johnny and Judith there at the house. Got to buy motor oil to keep their gears running and shit. It just tipping a robot's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. I'm all in favor of actually going in and tipping, like literally tipping a robot. I'd like to tip a couple of these kiosk stations once or twice too. And the industry I work in, I deal with self-checkout kiosks, and they piss me off even at work. So yeah, hell yeah, let's go tip some robots. Let's get all drunk and go tip robots. That's the world we're coming. We're gonna have fucking robot cows, dude.
Robot tipping. That would actually be fun.
I could get behind that, man.
Yeah, me too. In that case, tipping a robot is not asinine.
No, we could tip robots if we're physically tipping the robots.
Yeah, if we're moving them over.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, it looked a little wobbly. We're gonna help you out.
All right, last one I got, man. This is a pretty cool one. It's an article, but it's not really news. But Dustin, I told you a little bit about this one before, but these are the 7 psychedelic wellness retreats around the world offering a trip of a lifetime. And most of these in here have the prices and everything on them too. So I'll go through the list. And it looks like the first one is for an Ibogaine wellness retreat. This is root healing in Portugal. And it goes through the details. Dustin, you can look it up. There's a lot of, it offers a detox program. This is from 12magazine.com.
12?
No, 12, TWELL.
It's like naming your kid freaking some whatever. I'm ranting to myself.
All right. Well, they offer they do offer a longer term program, which is 2 to 4 weeks. But for root healing at Centra retreats, it starts at $3,000 per person for the upcoming 2023 dates. So that's pretty steep. Dustin, if you want to go for your Ibogaine, or Kelly for your Ibogaine needs, they got you covered. All right, so
I don't think I'd be going for Ibogaine. That shit has like horrible side effects.
Ibogaine, I don't know much about that stuff.
I started reading about it. I was listening to Rogan one day, and they were talking about Ibogaine, and they were talking about like the side of like it's pretty. You get a pretty gnarly headache from it and shit. And I don't know. I don't. Getting the shits from shrooms is enough.
All right. Well, since you mentioned shrooms, here's some really cool psilocybin wellness retreats. All right. This is micro meditations in Jamaica. All right. And if you can pull it up, the picture, I mean, this is right by the beach. It's beautiful. They got massage sessions, farm to table meals, round trip airport transfers. I mean, anything you can need here. And Myco Meditations retreat starts at $4,300 per person for the classic retreat held in intimate guest houses, and up to $6,400 per person for the comfort retreat held in spacious villas. So right here, man, if you guys are into it, I mean, Jamaica, you can go out, do your little mushroom retreat out there. That'd be pretty cool. What do you think, Dustin?
Yeah. I'm gonna pass on that. I mean, if I wanted to do that, we could spend. Oh shit! If I had $4,300 to spend just to trip on mushrooms, we'd have a whole bunch of mushrooms, buddy. 'Cause, I mean, I mean, I understand they're giving the whole retreat, but where we live, it's a beautiful section of the country. All we have to do is walk outside and look at the goddamn mountains. I mean, it'd be nice to live at a beach or go to a beach, but if I wanted to trip at the beach, I'd get some mushrooms and drive down to Florida.
All right, so let me do this is the last one. There's more, but this is the last of the interesting ones. All right, this is the Ayahuasca Foundation. All right, and this is in Peru, and I think this is the one where a lot of celebrities and a lot of high level people have gone this. I mean, they got vapor baths, smoke baths, yoga, meditation, breath work, counseling, anything you can need. And this one is offered at $2,400 per person for 10 days, $3,600 per person for 18 days. 2022 dates are already completely sold out, which was last year, as are many in 2023. I mean, I think this one right here, this is the famous one. This is the one I think Aaron Rodgers went to, Machine Gun Kelly, all those people.
Who's Machine Gun Kelly?
And where is this one? Is this also in Jamaica?
No, this one is in Peru.
Okay.
And this is the Ayahuasca Foundation.
South America for the win, being the cheapest one. And I'll tell you what, if you're in Peru, that's where like it feels like Jamaica and the other one, you're kind of like they're trying to sell like a vacation package. Peru, you're going to get like that tribal treatment, like it's going to be a true like ayahuasca experience. It's not going to be like come here and eat mushrooms and sit on the beach. It's going to be like, no, we're going to do like a ceremony, like what it's meant to be.
Dude, this area in Purdue, I'm reading about it right now. It's like right by the Amazon. I mean, yeah, you're right. You're in the heart of the jungle here.
So it's in Purdue or is it in Peru?
Peru.
Oh, I thought it was in Purdue.
Purdue.
Yeah, that's what you said. Purdue. I thought it was like at Purdue
I heard that too.
Kelly, what do you think of these ayahuasca retreats, man? Have you heard much about them?
I haven't, but I like the idea because a lot of these regions are just kind of an impoverished part of the country, and they just need to kind of cater to the people that really want to do. You can't really do these things legally in the United States. I actually just got back from a vacation in Jamaica, and it's ironic you mentioned that one, and I thought it was really funny because I mean we all associate marijuana use with Jamaica, and they didn't have any of the mushroom things at the resort that I went to, but they had a thing where you can take a tour of a marijuana grow farm. I go, oh, interesting enough. I'm thinking, wow, this place is probably synonymous with marijuana because everyone associates Jamaica with marijuana. I'm expecting this massive grow field and these people that are doing tending to all these big plants and the whole thing. Because I actually have some clients that actually do exactly that. But I'm thinking, wow, Jamaica is going to be so much more. And so we go on these ATVs and we go way down deep into these Jamaican forests, and we drive in there. And I swear the plot of land is not much bigger than maybe the size of a normal house, and maybe a quarter of that is associated with just there's probably 30 potted plants, and there's just some guys that are just kind of smoking up while they're tending to some plants, and they're just telling what each one of the things are. And I go, oh, I guess my expectations were probably set a little bit too high. And then, I mean, so be it. And I was thinking they're going to try to sell us some marijuana. No, they didn't do that, but they did. I thought this was funny. They said, we made some Jamaican wine, man. We made some Jamaican wine. Try our Jamaican wine. And so I was thinking, okay, Jamaican wine out of marijuana, with marijuana infused Jamaican wine. And so
Okay.
I'm thinking, okay, let's see what this is about. So I'm thinking they're going to pull out a bottle and a cork opener and the whole thing. No, they had a 2-liter bottle, it's like Pepsi bottle, where the top is cropped off, and it's filled with this brown liquid that you don't know what's in it, or there's no cleanliness standards or anything like that. And they're just pouring them into little Dixie cups, and they're just passing it out to all the people that are on this tour. I go, well, I guess when in Jamaica, I'm just gonna roll with it. But who knows what's in this and what's regulated about it, if at all. But I tried it, and it tastes good enough. I mean, it was wine, and you can kind of taste the marijuana infusion in it to some degree. But I just thought that was funny that they were taking this whole idea that they're this massive marijuana grow farm, and that just happened to be. It might as well have been just someone, like, if anyone grew marijuana now that it's legal in some states, it's probably as big as what someone's grow farm would be in their backyard. It was not much bigger than that. And they're just kind of making it a little bit of a business that people would have to go and drive their ATVs to go see. And I go, oh, okay, yeah, so be it. And but I thought it was funny.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And you don't think about that. I actually like stuff like that. So they're making wine out of it. It's the same concept like we got here. When people go to these vineyards and, these wineries and everything, and they make a day out of it, it's just their version of it.
Yeah, and it was more of just kind of seeing the culture, because Jamaica is really an impoverished country. If you've ever been over there, and I don't get off over there, but maybe once if I do, it's once every 6 years or something like that. But it's such a very, very poor country, and everyone's literally living in tin shacks, and there's just not a whole lot to be had. And kids are roaming the streets, and if they can find an opportunity to make money, then they'll certainly do it. And I mean, this would have been considered one of the bigger grow farms over there. So
Wow.
it was kind of an interesting thing to learn about the culture. But yeah, I mean, by all means, if you can cater to the people that want to smoke or use mushrooms or something like that, because it's not legal in your country, and it helps elevate your community, why not?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad to me. I don't know. I always think of the government. I don't know why I'm on this kick about the government, but I just don't like them, and the corporations. And it's sad to see that we have impoverished countries that are just south of us, and that our largest corporations exploit. I mean, like
Yep.
Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Haiti, where we put these resorts on the beautiful beachside, oceanfront, locations. We destroy the nature that's there.
Exactly.
And like the inland portion of it, we don't give anything back to the communities, really. We just exploit it, and we send a bunch of tourists down, and then we see in the news, like, you're seeing a lot of it in Mexico, because a lot of the Mexicans and the cartels run rampant down there, where they're actually attacking tourists now. But it's like, we kind of impeded, and maybe they are a little pissed off that we're down there and we exploit our wealth. A lot of people, and people that go off the, like Anthony Bourdain, off the reservation, and, they can see your wealth. I mean, you're walking down the street with a $800 watch on, and you're looking at a kid that doesn't have a pot to piss in, and flies all over him, hasn't eaten in probably a week, and you're there like sightseeing. It's really sad. That's the shit I think we should be talking about in this country instead of fucking beer cans and all that shit, man. It makes the world look silly or makes us look silly in comparison to the state of the majority of the world. You know, when you really think about it, there's not many first world countries out there. The majority of them are second world developing nations or third world countries.
That's something you can get behind. You can go to these third world countries and there you can tip. They probably don't have the robots to tip, but you can tip those guys. We actually found a street not a vendor, but I guess someone just playing music out there, and in the street. And the guy who was doing this, he had one leg, he had one eye, and he had a cast on one arm. Just mess all the way around. But he's singing a song, and he had a guitar, and he's playing it as best he can. Great song, and we said, look, let's tip him some money, and I wanted to give a good tip. I mean, a really solid tip. Normally, a solid tip would have been something like $5 or something like that, which would have been even huge for them. But we said, let's do something a little more. We gave him a 50, and just really brightened the day. And no one's gonna sneer at a 50, but a $50 bill in that region, it's like winning the lottery, because they get a week's wages for a lot of these people is like $5, $5 or $10. And for a lot of these things, and a 50 was massive. And I mean, it was awesome to see the expression on his face, to see him get elevated from that. And so it probably helped out. So yeah, tip those guys in these third world countries.
And just to let everybody that's listening know, 50 US dollars to the Jamaican dollar, $50 US is $7,743. So almost $7,800 in Jamaican money.
Good God.
And you see a lot of people, like there's a lot of expats from America that go to these countries, South America, I think Costa Rica is a big one where people retire to, just because you can live off like $2,000 a month and live very, very comfortably. I mean, you have to deal with maybe not the best infrastructure. The electric's not the greatest. Don't drink the water. But for the money that they get, in their retirement, either it's through 401k, Social Security, whatever it is, they can live comfortably, way more comfortably than you can even retire in America, which is kind of sad. We're in the most prosperous nation in the world, and you can't even retire decently here.
I've heard that Panama is the same way. I heard there's actually like retirement communities in Panama, like there would be like in Florida and shit, because it's like what you just said. It's really cheap and nice weather usually. And
well, wasn't Panama one of the places, one of the countries that like Boston George kept his money and everything from below? Like they have a lot of those offshore, loosely regulated banks. A lot of people like Bernie Madoff's and all those can keep their money in, and they have like very loose extradition laws.
Yeah, I think it was Panama. It was one of those countries.
Just it's wild. But that goes back to the same thing. Let's go here, put our money here, but not do anything to help the local communities. Or I don't know. It kind of pisses me off. It's like me. You see the people. If I got a couple bucks and I see a guy on a corner, and I don't care if he's going to buy cigarettes or beer or whatever, I don't. But if I see him and he looks homeless, because you get the homeless people that don't look homeless, that's their job, panhandling, and they're making a killing off of it. But if the dude looks like he's looking pretty rough, and I'll throw him a 5 or a 10. If I have a couple cigarettes left, I'll give him some of those. I'm gonna help the dude out. He's in a rough spot, But I just think there's more we could do. We're always gonna have that portion of society, though, But if you see him, that doesn't make it any easier, and it doesn't. If you have it, is it any harder for you? Or are you going to miss that $5 or $10? Regardless, everybody deserves a little pleasure, even if they're going to go buy a tall boy, a Bud Light, with Dylan Mulvaney on the can, maybe they deserve it. And maybe they could use it 2 times. They use it once to drink and once for a little, where I was going. Maybe they find her attractive.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's all I got for news. Do you want to move on to the Q&A segment?
Yeah, just we have you on as a guest, so we want to know there any movies that you've viewed recently, and then we can give, because we normally do. We've started this new thing where it's like, what games are you playing? What TV shows? What movies have you watched recently? Do you have anything that is kind of been on your radar that you want to share with us? And I know Will's been a fan. He said he liked that review of Killing Them Softly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great movie.
I just saw. Are you guys familiar with the talk show host Steve Deace on The Blaze?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you're into politics, he does good stuff. But he just recently put out a movie. He's a kind of a prolific writer, and he put out a movie called Nefarious, and it's not going to be available in all theaters supposedly, but it's going to be pretty much all throughout the United States, most of the United States. But the movie is low budget. But the movie's awesome. It's an incredible movie. You can see my review on notwokeshows.com if anyone wants to check it out. But that was a good movie worth checking out, and that was it just got released about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was a good one.
And where can you see it?
It's in theaters right now.
In theaters, okay.
Yeah, it's not streaming yet, but it's in theaters still. I would imagine it's probably going to come to some streaming platforms, probably in the next couple weeks. But check it out while it's in the theater. It certainly was worth it. When you leave that movie, I mean, it's very much one of the better shows that are made by conservatives. There's a few studios that are doing those, and that's pretty good.
So for all you guys, I hope you guys can see this that are watching the podcast physically on YouTube. The website again is notwokeshows.com, and it's I just kind of breezed through a little bit of it, recently added. So you can TV, movies, podcasts, video casts, stand-up comedy, games. It's a little bit of something for everybody. And the thing that I like the most that you do, Kelly, whenever you do it, even if it's not your cup of tea, or if it is, because everything we watch, and there's a movie that I watched recently called A Man Called Otto with Tom Hanks in it. It's on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got some woke portions in it. There's a transgendered person. His dad kicked him out. It was a trans male. It was the person was born a female and transitioned to male. And he said, Tom Hanks was like, did he kick you out because you're like this? And he said, yeah. And he's like, well, you're an idiot. And that's kind of like, to me, it's not that, it doesn't fit the bill of being completely woke. I think they put it in there to be woke, but that is more of like a normal person thing to me. Like, am I going to love my children any less because they do something I don't agree with? Absolutely not. And I think that's the majority of Americans feel that way. But I like that when you do review it, you give like, it can still be an overall enjoyable movie, even if it does have a woke section. But it seems like a lot of times, especially with these remakes that they're making, I'm not going to go into any detail and give, any kind of notoriety to something I don't think deserves it. But we all know recasting and reformulating, even like Habib on The Simpsons.
Yeah.
It's a little ridiculous. So I'm not a fan of those. But if there's a movie or a show that's out there and it has woke moments in it.
No, hold on. There's no Habib on The Simpsons, dude. It's Apu. Are you talking about the guy that runs the Quickie Mart?
Yeah, I thought I got
There's
Habib.
no Habib.
What's funny is I knew exactly who you were talking about.
I'm gonna get fucking canceled for that one.
Yeah. You're gonna have so many people hating on you. Simpsons lovers they're gonna be lining up ready to just bash you, man.
The Simpsons lovers are gonna hate me. And then the people that like are going to be the woke virtue signaling people are going to hate me because they're going to be like, you just racistly gendered or whatever. I just said Habib because it's you got me messed up on that one, dude, because you used to do that fucking Alex's thing.
No, I didn't. All right. What have you been watching, Dustin?
Well, I watched that one that I just talked about, A Man Named Otto. I watched that the other day in the midst of my Rocket League break. But dude, I'm telling you, I'm still hooked on that. So I've been watching a bunch of they just had the Spring Open last weekend. So it's 3 days total. Each tournament is like 6 hours long. So that's eaten up like most of my watch time. I've just been watching the Spring Open for Rocket League. I don't know. I'm such a fan of that game.
You've just been pretty much nerding out is what you've been doing.
Well, yeah. And see, that's a side effect of having ADD and ADHD is whenever I find something And even the medicine doesn't fix this. Like,
Go ahead, blame it on your disorders. Go ahead.
I do have a tendency to hyper focus on things.
Hmm.
So that's kind of been like Rocket League's the hyper focus. And that's just been we watched the show. We've been watching, my wife's been watching that the Charlotte show or whatever on Netflix, the Bridgerton thing. It's about Queen Charlotte, but that's one of the recast ones. Dude, all they do in that show is have sex.
Oh, is that what it is?
It's a nightmare every single time. Like, I'm laying there and I'm watching Rocket League on the iPad and she's got it on the TV. I'm like, they're fucking again? Again? It's like, it goes for like 5 to 10 minutes of dialogue, sex. It's like, Jesus Christ, when does it end?
Well, I've been watching. What have you thought of Dave? I've caught up with Dave. Have you watched any more of that?
I didn't watch this week's episode, but I watched the one where like the bus blew up and all that.
Yeah. That was the last episode I saw, I think. Kelly, have you watched Dave on
No, I'm not
Hulu?
even familiar with it. If you said it was on Hulu.
Yeah, it's on Hulu. I think it was originally an FX show, but it follows a rapper, Little Dicky, and this is kind of like the real life Little Dicky is what it is, and it's pretty funny.
I'm surprised I haven't heard of it. I watch so much TV and so much movies, and it's a difficult thing to kind of stay on top of all of it. And I have a lot of people sending in their own stuff, and so it's not just me. There's no way I could be able to watch every single episode that I'm actually publishing on the site. I get a lot of people that are supporting, but it's at the same time, I haven't even heard of that one, and that's what's amazing. So I'll have to check it out.
It's pretty funny. He's a really awkward guy, like very socially awkward, and he constantly finds himself in these situations, and his awkwardness often gets the best of him, and it's pretty good. It's a comedy with a little bit of drama in it here and there, but it's good. You got to watch. If you're gonna watch it from the beginning.
And this
I
is
will
like
do that. I'll check it out.
It's the stereotypical, but like he's a Jewish rapper from Philadelphia. So, and he's got the stereotypical Jewish, like overprotective parents, like the mother, like, and anyone who's had Jewish friends as a kid can tell you, they can attest that it's pretty spot on with the parents, especially the mothers. The father's normally a schmuck, kind of clueless, and the mothers are very protective, hands-on. They look after their children very much, and it's kind of like that. So, and he's an only child, so he kind of has like the only child syndrome, and he thinks the whole fucking world revolves around him. And he's so clueless that a lot of times, like, he thinks that he's the center of everybody's universe, and he's just blatantly self-centered. But it's funny at the same time, and his music's funny too. Like, even because he's a real rapper, in real life he's got some albums, and he's a pretty good rapper. It's not serious like Snoop Dogg or kind of rap like that. It's more of like goofball rap, like. So, but
he pokes fun at himself.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome. I'll have to check it out. The plot sounds a little bit, I mean, at least from some of it, you said that it was from an overprotective parents from a Jewish family. Did you guys ever see the movie? It was on Roku, or it was an original Roku film called Weird. It was the Weird Al Yankovic story.
No, I wanted to see that. How was that?
It was so fun. At least the first half of it was funny. It started to get a little bit dry towards the end. The beginning half is so incredibly funny, and it's very sarcastic in how they present it. And if you just look at the preview, you could actually set it up right here and we could watch it, the preview. But it's essentially the parents are telling young Weird Al, says, we want you to not be happy and live the lifestyle that we know you can be. I don't remember. I'm paraphrasing so poorly, but he just wants to live a life where he's playing the accordion, and he pages through. It's supposed to be like a Playboy, but it's like an accordion Playboy is really what a thing for accordion lovers. And then he gets in college, and they're all. He says, "I want to be a person that rewrites pre-existing music with their own lyrics in his college." But he said, "Yeah, well, shoot, why don't you do that? I guess." And he makes up a song called "My Bologna," if you remember that song. On the spot. I don't know. It's a very funny movie, very sarcastic, and it's worth checking out.
You want to
Yeah,
go?
I
We
gotta
can watch
see
the
that.
trailer if you want.
Yeah, let's do it.
So give me a second because I got to make sure I have it set up for share screen. I got to optimize it and share sound.
It's Daniel Radcliffe that plays him,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's an unauthorized biography, so it's obviously it's a lot of made up stuff, but it's funny.
I love those kind of movies.
Which trailer should we go with, Kelly?
Let's go with the top one,
Okay.
the Rotten Tomatoes.
So I'll go ahead and start it.
Put it in. I'm tired of people thinking I'm some kind of joke.
Your dad and I agreed it would be best if you just stop being who you are and doing the things you love.
My whole life, all I wanted.
I'm afraid we found your son at a polka party.
Make up new words to a song that already exists.
Oh, well, you should do that then.
Oh, my little hungry one, open up a package of mine.
Dude, I've got chills.
Every once in a great while, I can spot a talent that I know is the future of music. But first, we gotta find you a stage name. Al Yankovic. It's long, it's hard to pronounce. So I'm just gonna throw this out there. Weird Al Yankovic. I love it.
Weird Al has taken the world by storm.
Do I know you?
Madonna, I was wondering if you were going to do a parody of my song, Like a Virgin.
I'm curious, is that song autobiographical?
Yes. Except for the
What?
fact a lot of sex.
Name me one creative genius that doesn't have a checkered past involving alcohol
That's the medicine.
and drugs.
I think Madonna's a bad influence on you. What? No offense. I'm a train wreck. My parents wrote me off. I pushed away my band. You're all just a bunch of normals. I'm the weird one. You gotta take care of yourself.
I saw in you something special, an artist with something to give to the world.
In front of all the billions of people watching around the world right now, all I want to say is be as weird as you want to be. You will never find true happiness, so you can truly accept who you are. Thank you.
Oh, Al, you can't smoke in here.
I totally deserve that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That looks great. I got to see that.
Yeah, it does. That looks awesome.
But
There's one scene where he's having to sneak out of the parents' house, and his college buddies, because he was nervous about his parents wanting to is going to find him, and so he goes, "Hey, don't worry about it. Just make a hay boy." And he's like, "What's a hay boy?" And he literally just stuffs his hay into a pillowcase, and the hay is coming out of the top of the thing for the head, and it fools the parents, but everyone, like, as if everyone knows what a hay boy is. I thought that was a funny line.
yeah, right.
That's wild. I'm gonna have to check that out. It looks really good.
But hold on. The question is, Kelly, was it woke or not?
Was not woke.
Was not
Absolutely, I recommend it.
woke. Okay, good.
I'd hope not, because that would be kind of defeating the purpose of making a Weird Al movie. I mean, it's kind of like if they did a remake of, well, I guess you could do it now if you focused on the latter part of his career, but doing like a Private Parts 2. Because the Private Parts 2 would just be nothing but a woke show, literally and figuratively.
So true. Howard Stern went south.
Way south. I mean, and that's the whole... Man, and Will asked this question a couple weeks ago, and it's like, how do they decide who gets canceled and who doesn't? And it's like, if there's a prime example of someone who, if you went back and looked, especially at a lot of his early, like WNBC kind of stuff, he should be canceled for the shit that he said. And then he contradicts it. So to me, as a Howard Stern fan, I always was. When he
Me
started
too.
sharing his political and beliefs and all of that, it turned me off from him because it's like you turned your back on your core audience. Your base. I guess it's the similar thing with Bud Light. Maybe I just like Bud Light too much. Maybe I'm an alcoholic. I don't know.
Yeah, he was so huge into free speech and wanting to everyone to be able to leave him alone to do his own show, and that was his whole spiel back in, I guess it was in the early 2000s, and when they started to really go after him, and now he's really about kind of wants to have certain people self-censor, and he's just kind of done a complete 180 on a lot of things, and he's still kind of the same type of humor that he did before, but I mean, it's coupled with all of his other woke nonsense, and so I can't listen to it anymore. It's
Yeah, exactly.
not the same.
So what about games? Do you game at all, Kelly?
I do. I'm on a Macintosh, so I don't get to do a whole lot of gaming the on the computer itself, but I have PS5. These days I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy, and it's not quite as good as I hoped that it would be. It's not a bad game at all. It's still a great game, but right before that, I came off of I'm gonna butcher this name, Ghost of Tsushima, I think it was called, and then before that, Red Dead Redemption 2, which was probably one of my favorite games of all time.
So you're a lot like me when it comes to like playing more like RPGs, like long, like single player story motivated games.
I love the stories in the games. I mean, and that's why I've added that. I'd only recently started adding games to Not Woke shows, is because so many of them have the plot lines of a typical movie that might even surpass a good movie. That you can probably get a whole lot more out of the game because it's probably about 8 hours worth of movie footage, if anything else.
Yeah.
That if anything, so like one great example of that. Uncharted is one of my favorite games of all time, Uncharted 4, and it's an incredible game. It's about kind of going after pirate ship treasure, and the storyline in that is just amazing. But they made the movie out of the game after the fact, and it left a lot to be desired, and I had to figure out what was the reason for it. It's just that the movie was about an hour and a half, but the game was about 8 to 10 hours worth of plot that it's more immersive, and so it's very much a movie, very much a show. So yeah, that's a great example.
And the Harry Potter series too, like you bring that up, and it was a book first, not a game, but I don't know if you've seen that they're doing a Harry Potter TV show now. Which I think if, in the early 2000s, late 90s, whenever they started developing them for movies, if Netflix had been around, or HBO Max, all these new streaming platforms, I think that's where they should have went with it, a season for each year of the timeline, because that, being a Harry Potter fan and reading the books growing up, the books were way better than the movie. I love the movies too. And some of them, they're not as long as like Lord of the Rings, but I mean, there's some long movies. But doing it on a show, I think they can really get to the story behind it and pick up some of the stuff they missed, some important things that they missed from the movies as well. So and video games, especially the RPG games, they're hard to get, especially like what you said, 8 to 10 hours. And I play like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I mean, I think I put in, just base game, 40 hours playing the base main storyline. So 40 hours of gameplay building that story, how does that translate to a movie? And that's why a lot of gaming fans are like, shit, that sucked, because they don't get the same experience that they got from actually playing the game.
That's so true.
Well, you've been playing Willie Walnuts.
Well, I've been out of town for a couple of days, but man, I just playing the same shit I always do. Doom 2016, Doom Eternal. I got a buddy of mine from work that he gets on that game too, so we play that. It's just, I mean, to me, it's one of those mindless games you can kind of pick up whenever. You don't have to remember how to play the game. You can pretty much just pick it up, play it. You don't have to think about it,
Yeah. Kind of like me with Rocket League, except for I'm trying to go pro in that shit.
Right, exactly.
So I've been grinding that. Dude, I grind that shit. I do I work, 8 to 10 hours a day, and then I come home and I grind like 5 or 6 hours playing Rocket League. I'm
Well,
not
dude,
lying.
I've been going back on Doom 2016. They have the arcade mode, and basically you're just trying to get the highest score possible at a levels that are in the campaign. They just kind of shorten the level. So now I'm going back and I'm like, oh, okay, you know what? I can do better. I'm trying to beat that high score in that level and then beat that high score. And it's just when it's all said and done, you think about it and you're like, man, I just wasted so much time on something stupid like that.
I did that with Halo Combat Evolved, the first version of
Yeah.
Halo.
Yeah.
I invested easily, and I'm not exaggerating, at least 4 hours per day, every day, for literally 20 years. Every single day, that was the only game I would play for the longest time. And when you play a game that long and you focus on just maybe 3 or 4, and it was always the online interactive with other players where we'd play capture the flag or something like that on the game, you tend to get incredibly good. I later find out, because now it got to the point where everyone was not only playing against me and strategically trying to go against me, but were using cheat codes and everything, and I'd still win. And I only realized after I gotten that good that there was a time, probably 10 years prior, before they actually canceled all the later updates, that they were actually having competitive play with big paydays for winning that I absolutely guaranteed would have won every single which way, because I probably was one of the top 5 players in the world on this game. It got to be so absurd that because I dedicated so much time to it, and this was long after everyone else abandoned it. And there was probably a core group of maybe, I don't know, 50 people that were still playing these old online games. And no, if I had known about it, yeah, I could have taken away each payday was probably $50,000, $100,000, and I would have just cleaned up. But only after, that's when I learned about it. So
That's what I like. Go ahead.
Esports is huge, man. That you can make so much money off of it now if you're good at a certain game.
Well, that's like the Rocket League. The purse payout for the like the Grand World Champions, it's a $6 million purse, dude, for a team of 3 people. I mean, they have big names. They have like Mobile One Oil sponsoring teams. They have Ally Banking sponsoring teams. They have a ton of sponsors. There's a lot of big money in it. And these kids, I mean, 18, 19 years old, making millions of dollars playing video games. And they talk about, like, I've watched a couple of one of the best players in the world. His name's apparently Jack. And I mean, he talks about the grind that he's put in, and he started like 2 years after everybody else, one of the best in the world now. But he's like, everybody else was playing ranked and practicing and doing scrimmages for 4 or 5 hours a day. He's like, I was doing it 10 to 12 hours a day, playing nonstop, because I had to catch up and I had to be better. But it's like the whole world of esports. But that's why I like these games like that, like Rocket League. They're still super popular. I'd love to get on and play something like Call of Duty, like Black Ops, but they start hacking the servers once Activision or Treyarch or whoever starts pulling away, or in Halo's realm, Microsoft, when they kind of don't monitor the servers anymore. You get these server hackers in there, and they're running around with a goddamn grenade launcher, an automatic grenade launcher, and you can't even, get off your respawn.
I know. I hate that, man.
So yeah, it's been interesting, and yeah, it's good games, dude. Gaming's, I don't know, keeps us kids at heart. We're both mid-30s. You're probably mid-30s, late 30s, probably.
I'm in my late 40s.
Oh wow, yeah, you look good, man.
I'm immature, and I look it too.
But it keeps you young. They can see the gaming. It keeps you young.
Yep.
Yeah.
But all right, well, I think we got a show here, guys. We're about an hour and a half in, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end the live stream. So everybody, this is Dustin, the Unholy Apostle, signing off. Willie Walnuts, the Immortal One, and our guest from Not Woke Shows, Kelly McNeil. Check him out at notwokeshows.com, and he's got social media. He's all over the place. I think his website has it, all his different channels there. So go ahead and check him out. We appreciate you guys listening, and we are good to go.